Yep.
I'll just shoot it
And
at
then
the
just
ground
be
so
like,
we don't get
after I say, or when I start saying, during the early 1900s, there were many acts of genocides around the world. The most prominent genocide is that of the USSR during Stalin's rule. Stalin had the Soviet forces on constant patrol to strike fear into the people's hearts and control the land.
Stop!
Anybody that broke Stalin's law was punished severely.
Нет! Нет! Нет!
I'll scream
No
for
mercy was shown to the
Let it-
No mercy was shown to the violators.
No!
Unfortunately, most of these violators were just trying to get food for their family. Comrade, what was his crime?
Petty food criminal.
These food ration issues were caused by the Soviet Russians going into countries like Ukraine and forcing their farmers in the concentration camps to supply Russia with the food produced. These workers were ruled under an iron fist, and where slacking meant death.
What is this, you petty pig dog?
One would think that with all the farming, even with all the food that the Ukrainian farmers were forced to make, none of them were able to receive it, and over 9 million Ukrainians either starved to death or were killed by the cruelty of the Russian soldiers.
Fuck, redo it.
One would think that the food restrictions in Russia would only get lighter, but under Stalin's rule and the Soviet soldiers, the food restrictions only got worse. The Russian people, the people were starving in Russia due to Stalin's trade system. Stalin, even though his country was starving, would take foods from his citizen and give it to other countries to make his country look stronger. There were many skirmishes fought in which the rebellions were formed and fought against the Soviet army. And unfortunately, many innocent bystanders were killed during these skirmishes. Unfortunately, the rebels were often undersupplied. Unfortunately, due to these rebel incidents, the organization known as the KGB was formed. And they were there to seek out other possible rebels, torture them, and find out the locations of other rebels.
Where are they? Where? Yeah. Take me to them.
Unfortunately, this organization was very good at sniffing out the rats. Unfortunately, many of these rebels were made public executions and being set as examples. During the early 1900s, there were many genocides occurring around the world, but by far the worst was the USSR genocide, because millions were dying because Stalin had such high restrictions on food that there was just millions dying of starvation. Ukraine, over 9 million died purely of starvation. And the soldiers were very cruel to immigrants and to foreigners inside their own country. The rebels were silenced quickly by the KGB, and even some of the innocent people were taken in.